Hello fellow nerds, and welcome to Nerd Chat. I'm your host Steven, Nick's your studio producer in the back, and today I'm joined by Shashir Pandit Rao.
Hey guys.
Thank you for being with us tonight. Shashir is the captain of ReVamped, a second-year First Tech Challenge robotics team, who were German Division semifinalists and Control Award finalists at the Houston World Championship. So, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you? Thank you so much for having me today.
I'm doing well too, thanks. So on the topic of being Control Award finalists, it must have taken a lot of work to get to that point. What did your team do to receive that award?
Well, I'm not the programmer, so I'm going to start off with that. But there were many aspects, many facets that went into being a Control Award finalist. I gotta say, it was an extreme honor for us, especially because our programmer was a complete rookie. In the beginning of the season, he was having trouble even like creating a teleop because obviously this is the first time he'd interfaced with such a program, and being able to go from that point to at the end of the season, being a finalist of such a prestigious award, kudos to you, John. Just wanted to start off with that. But there were multiple things that we did do to be Control Award finalists. One of the main things that we did was our use of the OpenCV computer vision software, and we combined this with color sensors for the Joule element of the game, and to get the Joule knocked off in under a quarter second, one of the fastest at the World Championships. That utilization of the combining OpenCV with color sensors, as well as being able to have a fairly consistent 4-glyph autonomous, is what I believe got us that award.
Okay. So what was this Worlds actually like? Did you meet anyone special there, and how was the trip?
Well, Worlds is something else. Worlds it's an amazingly special trip. It's truly an experience, especially for if you haven't gone before. In terms of who we've met, the Holy Trinity, Don Bosey, Woody Flowers, and Dean Kamen, the founder. I mean, I got signatures from all of them. That was super fun. But interfacing with a lot of teams from across the world was also another really, really amazing experience. We interfaced with teams from Israel, from Mexico, and I believe even from Canada at the West Super Regionals. But still, being able to see such a wide perspective of students who are going through the same program that we are, but with different resources and with different availabilities, is what really I think is one of the most special things. So trip is amazing. If you can make it, if you can go, definitely go if that's something you're interested in.
Okay. So how is competing at Worlds different than competing at Oregon?
Well, there are quite significant differences. Competing at Oregon is I won't say that competing at Oregon is easier than competing at Worlds, which I think is a bold statement to make, but I feel it's true. Oregon is actually one of the toughest states to get out of, even though we have a lot of advancement slots. It is a very, very difficult competition to go through. And I feel like that's also exacerbated by a few other elements. In Oregon, our refereeing, from my personal experience, I've been to Worlds 4 of my past 5 years, is that it's very, very stringent here in Oregon. At Worlds, even though it's a higher level of tournament, the referees seem to give a little more leeway to the teams. But in Oregon, we really have to play by the books, and I think that's very, very important for learning how to play the game. So when you go to like tournaments like the West Super Regional last year, even though that's been discontinued, and Worlds, you sort of have to adapt to how other teams are playing and how other referees decide the game should be played.
Okay. So the revamped team has worked a lot on the First Updates Now podcast. What led to the creation of it, and what did you guys do to help it make it a reality?
So First Updates Now has been a program for the FRC First Robotics Competition facet of First for about a year, I think. Tyler, when did you start it? Yeah, I think about a year or a year and a half ago. But one thing that we wanted to do, we noticed that there's no such equivalent to FTC. So basically, we took it upon we basically, me and a few other people from across the world, actually, across the states, actually, in Chicago and Minnesota, decided that we wanted to do something like this for FTC. And we started with a program independent of First Updates Now called FTC Live. FTC Live, we were able to, and basically what we tried to do was gain traction within the First community and the FTC community to see if we can create a platform for this kind of inter-team and inter-community intermingling and communication. And after we got a little bit of traction with our FTC Live component, Tyler of First Updates Now actually took note and sort of put us in his umbrella. He brought us in, and now we are a subset of the First Updates Now program. It's really it's been great, honestly, talking, like, interfacing with community leaders from like Andy, Mark, Rev, and really the Orange Alliance, which is like one of the leading score tracking databases of FTC, and it's been awesome interfacing with them and understanding just how they're meeting our needs and how the community as a whole can help and get helped by those people.
So ReVamped has participated in the Robot in 30 Hours activity. What did you guys learn from it, and how was it challenging?
I gotta say, of everything that we've done, that challenge had the most net benefit in terms of time spent. Right, we set down 30 hours for it, and we were able to like learn. We were basically able to learn our challenge. We were able to learn Rover Ruckus on a scale that's almost, I think, unparalleled by most other teams. It really did help us in that sense, because we were able to see the game elements, we were able to see the aspects of the field, and we were able to have an in-depth interaction with each and every element. Definitely some of the design principles that we learned over 2 months ago now are still carrying with us today, and I believe will still carry into our final robot, which we take to hopefully all the way to Worlds. And so I think that it was an amazing, amazing challenge to get through. But of course, working for 30 hours straight is a challenge in and of itself, because it does take a lot of skill. It takes a lot of strength to be able to sort of get through that, especially if you're going at it straight.
So also on the topic of making robots, what sort of design process does your team undertake? Do you guys make CAD designs, rapid prototypes, or do you use other methods?
So I have a little story for this, actually. Before joining ReVamped, before founding the team, my teams have all had like various different strategies, but our coach Zinquin has been sort of a fundamental for all of these. He's provided numerous amounts of support, even when I wasn't on one of his teams. He's provided immeasurable support. We always thought that the best way to prototype is to get the real materials done. We always thought you have to use CAD, we have to get it done completely, we have to get it done with robust materials. But he actually brought us on the path of cardboard prototyping. Cardboard prototyping is, he basically said, you don't need to waste your material. You do it, create a proof of concept first, and then go from there. And I really carried that even today, even with more and more resources. We do CAD for like the majority of our robot. We use Creo to define where the rough estimates of our robot. But at the same time, we don't spend all our effort, we don't spend all our resources creating these perfect prototypes. We go with the rapid method of using cardboard, of using paper, of trying to just work things out like in a rugged fashion so that we can create a more robust final product.
Okay, so what is the relationship between ReVamped, Overcharge, and Hotwire? How do you feel about the ways to collaborate but yet compete with each other?
I gotta say, so just to define this relationship, so Hotwired Robotics was the previous team of Spark Tech Education, and of that team, one member remained. I believe you've interviewed him, Advaith, and the coach Zinquin. I worked with him, and Advaith also worked with him to create 2 new offshooted teams, Overcharged and ReVamped, and we work in the same space. We collaborate extensively to basically create 2 different robots, 2 different teams. Everything is separate when we go into competition. But I gotta say, working with Overcharged is one of the best gifts a team can ever get. Working with any other team in such a close proximity is really one of the best things, one of the best gifts you can ever get. Because we're constantly bouncing ideas off of each other. We're constantly helping the other team improve. But at the same time, we are 2 different teams, so we always are looking for that edge. We're always trying to get better and better. And that competition, that constant competition, and that collaboration really combine to give us both the best product we can create.
Okay, so let's talk about your coach and mentors for a bit. How involved are they, and how do they help the team?
Well, so we have one primary coach, Zinquin, and he's like, honestly, he's omnipotent. He's truly an amazing person. And in addition to that, we also have a lot of our parents of our students who help come as mentors and who bring their areas of expertise. We have some mechanical engineers, some programming, some computer scientists who help with the programming, things like that. And so every single mentor tries very hard to help the students understand exactly what they're doing. starting with Zinquin, every single person, well, at least most of the people who come in here, come with either a base level or almost no understanding of like the finer fundamentals of like the mechanical side. Zinquin actually he helps like teach how to use all the tools that we have, and he's a support structure there to help us bounce ideas off of. And the same goes with our mentors, especially for like programming. John, he was constantly talking to his programming mentor, just bouncing his ideas off of them, really working with them, understanding how these systems work in the real world, and trying to implement it into FTC robotics, and working like that, basically creating this extensively collaborative environment, while making sure that the students are really doing the work that they're supposed to be doing, really allows it to be successful. And just going off on a tangent on that, the support structure that's provided has been so extensive, not just for our team, but the entirety of Spark Tech Education, and for honestly the entirety of Oregon State Robotics. So and I think that's one of the main reasons why Zinquin was actually the recipient of the Compass Award last year at the World Championships, because he's impacted just so many people throughout his process. I remember when I was a rookie, I wasn't on one of Zinquin's teams, but he treated me as his own student, and he helped me so extensively, and he allowed us to be successful. And just that immeasurable amount of support that he gives to anyone that approaches him is what I really think allowed him to be to get such a high honor.
So, as far as sustainability plans go, how does ReVamped recruit new members, and how do you all train them?
Yeah, so we actually have a pretty unique method of training our students. So every year, because we have these two teams, we actually have the capability of expanding quite a bit. Last year, for example, between the two teams, we had about 16 students. This year, that became 26. So we're always extensively looking in our community, either with teams who are interested, people from other teams who are interested, or from students who are just like in our school circles and things like that. And we're definitely going out in our community trying to gain those members. After we've gained those members, we actually take part in, we send 2 of our members every year to take part in PCC's Machine Manufacturing Tech course. That's a course that they provide to FTC and FRC students, 2 per team, to basically learn the fundamentals of using a vertical mill, a lathe, and other advanced machining and fabrication tools. And our members go to that class, or at least our veteran members, or more veteran members, 2 of them go to that class. They take notes, take extensive notes, learn from there, and actually come home and create their own curriculum. And they create that curriculum to teach to both revamped and overcharged members about how to use all of these tools, because we actually have them in our shop. And by doing that, we're able to sort of create that cascade of sustainability, because every single previous generation is teaching the next generation of our students.
So how do you hope your team impacts the local community, and what would you like to say to them?
Well, I think that I really want our team to have a lasting impact. Obviously, what that means varies in definition from person to person, but I really want to be able to benefit benefit teams and benefit the community that may be less fortunate. Robotics, especially from my personal experience, robotics is just such an amazing tool, not just to learn technical skills, but to learn the interpersonal skills that you just can't find in the classroom. And I think that's something that needs to be spread. It's something that ORTOP and FIRST in general is doing an amazing job of, but there's always room for improvement. And we hope to be one of those, we hope to be one of the facets of that improvement to help our community as a whole.
So one last question, because I gotta ask, how do you name your robots? For example, King Cobra. Where did you get that idea?
Well, it stems a bit from our history as Spark Tech Education. Starting with Hotwire, who started doing robot reveals, I believe 2 years before they ended. The way that they chose their names was they wanted an animal. They wanted a fierce animal that that looked somewhat like their robot. For example, in Rescue, which was the first year they did a reveal, they called their robot Wolverine, because they had 2 claw-like mechanisms. And the year afterwards, they called it mammoth because their cat ball mechanism looked like the tusks of a mammoth. Last year, we actually had to do an entire robot redesign because we decided that our robot wasn't as effective, and because of that, we were under a time crunch. And due to that time crunch, we couldn't really solve all of the issues we wanted to perfectly, and one of our issues was that our glyphs kept getting stuck. So instead of creating a more complex like wheel-based system, we put a pusher door on front, and that would just go into the robot and keep the glyphs in the same place every time. But when that pusher door was up, it looked like the reared head of a cobra. So in order to keep with that tradition, I really wanted to go with that and called it King Cobra to really reflect that mechanism.
Well, that's all we have for now. Next up, we have a robotics tutorial video, so stay tuned for that. See you nerds next time.
Thank you so much.